In the initiation to Skyrim's Dark Brotherhood, Astrid asks you to kill one of the 3 people in this room to prove you've got what it takes to be a member. Kill the one you think is the right one, and she'll tell you that it didn't matter which one you killed. It was more about the killing than who got killed. Kill all 3 of them and she'll like it just the same. But the best thing about this scene is that there's not 3 people in this room you can kill. There's 4. I first attacked Astrid just to see what would happen, but I love the fact that the game gives you the choice of listening to all her instructions and then turning against her anyway. It was a rare case in Skyrim and in gaming in general when quest givers can be disobeyed or ignored to let the player tell their own story and be who they want to be. It wasn't the best moment of the Dark Brotherhood questline though, and it wasn't the last time I wanted to go against their instructions. That moment came during the finale on the quest to assassinate the Emperor of Tamriel. After the mission's long process of luring him to Skyrim, then sneaking aboard his ship, you break into his office. I was expecting at least 3 bodyguards I had to either fight or sneak around, and a buff to 1000 HP Emperor that would go down fighting while calling me scum, just like everyone else in Skyrim who wildly underestimated the mighty Dragonborn. But then this happened.
Never could. Come now. Yes, I must die, and you must deliver the blow. It is simply the way it is. But I wonder, would you suffer an old man a few more words before the deed is done? Thank you. Now, on to the business at hand, I suppose,
And instead of slitting his throat and restoring the ruined Brotherhood to power, I walked out into the cool night air, a member of the Brotherhood no more. But the game clearly didn't want or expect me to do that. Despite the hints at time pressure going into the mission,
the Emperor is still in Skyrim, but you must hurry.
His ship never left the harbour. The quest to kill him still remains in my menu, and he stands there at his window to this very day, waiting for a knife in his back that will never come. Open worlds, especially in Bethesda games, can often be buggy and broken simply because of scale. They have so many parts and give the player so much interactivity with them that it's impossible to do it all perfectly. When the game breaks, it can be an immersion-ruining experience, but in this situation I broke the game to support my own narrative, and despite the problems it drove me deeper into my role and developed into a new chapter of my character's story. Much like Morrowind did, I'm glad the game let me make my own path, even if it was just a developer oversight that allowed me to do it. But truly great interactive games often don't break when you go against the commands of captains or comrades. Rather than using characters as mouthpieces for the all-knowing developer gods who tell you exactly what you can and can't do with this software, they have fallible, defiable characters. You can interact freely with them, either taking on their advice,
terminate the prisoner, agent,
or ignoring their wishes completely and doing the exact opposite. And despite being 15 years old, perhaps the game that does this the best is still the original Deus Ex. The most famous example in the game is when UNATCO comes to arrest you at your brother Paul's apartment.
Come on, out the window. We'll meet Jock in Battery Park. I can't manage the climb. I can't just leave you here.
Open up!
Don't be a fool. Run!
Paul tells you in no uncertain terms to get going, and if you stick around and try and save him, he keeps trying to convince you.
Go out the bedroom window.
Up until now, players have mostly been sneaking around and picking off people one at a time so they don't get overwhelmed. So it's obvious when floods of UNATCO mech agents pour into his apartment for a head-on assault that this is Paul's last stand. A valiant but futile defense that will buy you time to escape and gives you extra motivation to get to the bottom of everything and take down those responsible. But players stubborn enough to stick around and stick it out will find the game not only allows ignoring your brother's commands, but actually rewards it. If they take on the mechs in Paul's apartment, fight their way out of the hotel's front door, and fight or sneak their way past the patrols in the street, then escape through the subway, Paul will show up later on in the game alive, whereas escaping through the window will lead to Paul's death. You could argue that being able to save him relegates this path to failure. But most players were blissfully ignorant of their failure until reading a wiki or being told by a friend that you could protect him, which only increased their love of the game and brought them back for a second or third playthrough. Other players, myself included, actually prefer Paul dying, as it gives the story much more drama and sticks to the central themes of stealth and subterfuge instead of going all Rambo. So for those reasons, there's a decent argument that they should have made a difficult task impossible by giving Paul a forced, scripted death sequence. But that's not what they had in mind. I contacted the original writer of Deus Ex, Sheldon Picotti, and asked him why they let you save Paul despite all the directions to go out the window. He replied, "Regarding Paul in Deus Ex 1, the intention was definitely to give the player a choice, but we wanted the choice to be a difficult one, or at least balanced. Take the easy route out the window and let your brother die, or stand by him despite all of the signals to do the opposite." And in my opinion, giving players the freedom to defy their orders and write a narrative of their own liking is one of the reasons Deus Ex is a legend among PC gamers, instead of just another good game that got forgotten by time.